Okay, is everybody cool if I don't get on the chair? Can you? Okay. Yeah, it's hard. I don't want to do this from a chair. I've been standing too long today. Can everybody hear me okay? Yes? All right. Thank you. All right, so the story of Shopcaster really begins with our retailers. We have an amazing group of retailers who are constantly providing us feedback, and in fact, we didn't even actually start building Shopcaster until we'd already done dozens of interviews with small independent retailers in Toronto. And when we did interview them, what they told us is that they were really struggling with their online presence, that they were time-starved, they weren't particularly tech-savvy, they didn't know what they were doing with their websites, and when you went and looked at their websites, you could see that was in fact true. Their websites were quite ugly, they were out of date, there was no way to actually see anything the store was selling currently on the website. So we created a product, an iPhone app in fact, that would make it really easy for these retailers to display their products online quickly, easily, and beautifully. And that's what we did. And almost immediately, the retailers responded really well to what we were doing, and all of a sudden, we were onboarding 80 to 100 of them a month. And it was great. We were enjoying ourselves. Of course, we had no business model, but that was okay because we were like onboarding all these retailers, so that was cool. And we hit about 500 retailers, and we decided, okay, now we need to monetize. We need to prove that this thing can actually make money. So we created something called Shopcaster Premium. And what Shopcaster Premium was basically Shopcaster with some other bells and whistles attached to it. And we were deciding we were going to actually get our retailers, our existing retailers, to upgrade to Shopcaster Premium, and that they were going to pay us a monthly fee for this. So we built it. We went out and talked to our retailers, and were met initially with blank faces. And next we were met with a very polite no thank you, repeatedly in every retailer we went into for 3 days in a very hot August or June day. It was awful. So what we realized was we actually had no way of proving our ROI to these retailers. We had no way of proving that somebody walked in the store and bought something because they were putting products on Shopcaster. So what we did was spend more time talking to our retailers, which is what they're really good at doing, is they like to talk to people. And what they said to us was, if you can help me sell my products on Shopcaster, then we'll pay for that. And we were floored, because in every conversation we'd had with retailers up until that point, they had said, we don't want to do e-commerce. And we had accepted that. We accepted they just want to have foot traffic in their stores. But we never asked them, why don't you want to do e-commerce? And we should have much earlier in the process than we did, because what came back was they do want to do e-commerce. They just found the existing solutions too intimidating and too daunting to actually want to bother doing with e-commerce. So, for example, for these retailers, just choosing an e-commerce platform to be on is incredibly intimidating. Next, if they do decide to go and do it, setup requires that they go through their store and weigh and measure every product that they want to sell online, because that's how shipping rates are calculated. And then after that, they have to keep an ongoing inventory of both their online and offline products. So if they sell a dress in the store, they have to go and mark it as sold online. If you're doing 20 or 30 transactions a day, that becomes a pain very, very quickly. But a few of these retailers were actually intrepid enough to go out and start their own e-commerce site. And when they did that, they had completely lackluster sales. And the reason why is because there's nobody coming to the site, because unless you already know that retailer exists and take the time to find them online, you're not going to go there and you're not going to buy stuff from them. And finally, if they did sell a product, and that was a big if and a small miracle when it happened, but if they did sell a product, all of a sudden now they have to handle shipping. So they have to find a box to put the item in, call FedEx, or worse, walk the parcel down to the post office. And for most of these retailers, what came back was, this is much more trouble than it's worth, and I don't want to do e-commerce. So what we heard in these conversations was a very big problem. And for an entrepreneur, when you hear a really big problem, you should be excited, because if you can solve the really big problem, you can create something that's really valuable, which is what we did. We went and we solved this really weird e-commerce problem these retailers had. And the new Shopcaster, which is an e-commerce site now, is kind of like the old Shopcaster. It's got products that are displayed by local retailers. They walk around their store with their cell phone, use our app to take pictures of their products. And when they do that, they give us a product title, a description, they give us a price, they tell us the category the product falls in, a couple other details. And then they do something really different, is they tell us which of our standardized packaging options that product fits in. So when a retailer signs up for Shopcaster, we actually send them boxes that are branded with Shopcaster in advance. So as they're uploading products, they say this dress fits in the small box, this toaster fits in the medium box, and that's how we calculate shipping costs without the need to do weighing and measuring. So problem one solved. Next, when a retailer hits enter and that product is automatically broadcast, thank you, that's better. So much better. So when a retailer actually buys or posts the product online, it is instantly available to shoppers across North America. So now we're solving that little problem with the lackluster sales due to low reach, because now we're giving them North America to sell to. When a customer actually makes a purchase, we send the retailer an email saying, somebody wants to buy this, can you confirm that the product is in stock? And they say yes. We just eliminated the need for ongoing inventory management, so we've solved problem number 3. When they confirm that the product is in stock, a UPS shipping label is automatically generated for them by our back-end system. All they have to do then is take the Shopcaster box that we have supplied to them, put the item in it, print the label, put the label on top, and UPS magically turns up at their door the next time their store is open. Problem number 4 solved. So we were pretty confident that we had nailed the retailer side of this, and in fact we had, because this time when we went out to upsell our retailers onto something that was going to actually make us money, our success rate was 90%. So we built the right thing, which is great. We now had a really good e-commerce company, but we had to shift our thinking all of a sudden and stop thinking about those retailers and start thinking about consumers. Oh my God, somebody has to buy this stuff, and we haven't really been thinking about the consumers all that much up until this point. So we did a lot of research, and we started with some focus groups. We did some on-site surveys. We still do on-site surveys. And we started reaching out to them through email, Twitter, Facebook, just as often as we could. Get these consumers now talking to us the way our retailers do with ease. And we started to hear some interesting things from them. One, we learned that people really love shopping at independent boutiques, which is good because our whole business is based on it. And they love it because of the unusual products that you can't find anywhere else online. You can't find our products on eBay or Amazon, for example. They also think it's important to support local retailers, which is nice. And in fact, American Express did a study a couple of years ago that says 93% of us actually think it's important to support local retailers. And we spend on average $100 a month with them. So good, we've got a nice little marketplace. It serves the right people. We also learned that our consumers were really excited about the idea of shopping local boutiques in cities other than where they live. So someone in Vancouver, for example, sitting at her desk can now shop a store in Brooklyn on her lunch hour and have those products shipped to her. And our consumers find that really exciting. It's almost like we're a travel adventure for them without having to actually go anywhere. And finally, we started asking some interesting questions about the mall and how people feel about the mall. And this is my favorite kind of research. And the feedback we got back was that people really hate the mall. They hate it a lot. And not just because it's crowded and it's full of rude people and it's hot, but because it's become so homogenized. People are noticing that all the shops look alike and all the products within the shops look alike. We call it the walk of same at Shopcaster. And then we asked them a little deeper question, and some interesting feedback came back to us, and that about half the people responding are concerned that products in malls are made in sweatshops. And so they actually had a growing ethical concern about spending too much money at the mall, which is interesting for us. And you can see how people are getting that idea. Just last week, a factory in Bangladesh collapsed, killing 300 workers, and they found Joe Fresh labels in the rubble. So hence, our tagline is "Fuck the mall, shop small." That is literally our tagline. our consumers love it and our retailers really love it. So we officially launched as Shopcaster, the e-commerce fuck them all site, on October 1st. And since then, we've expanded into many more cities. We started with Vancouver, Montreal. Earlier this year, we launched in New York. And since then, we've launched in several other U.S. cities. We're in Los Angeles, Miami, San Francisco, Philadelphia, Austin, Seattle, and Portland. And actually, about 20% of our stores are now in the United States, and we've only been launched there about 10 weeks. So we're having a good time in the U.S. And our shoppers are in the U.S. as well, and they're in weird places. They're in Kentucky and Tennessee and Boise, Idaho. And we think there's cool people in Kentucky. They just have nothing cool to buy. And that's why they love Shopcaster, because literally the largest city somebody has bought something from us is New Orleans, and that's only 250,000. So we're serving a great need of cool people in Middle America, which I think is worthy. It's a worthy cause. So we are on to world domination. We will continue to expand across the United States. We're looking to start expanding into Europe in a few months. We have a small but very loyal customer base. A quarter of our shoppers will come back at least one more time. And in fact, in the last 90 days, 30% of our shoppers have been coming back a second time. So we have a growing, nice base of consumers. Our retailers are happy as well. Our top retailers are doing up to 10% of their sales on Shopcaster now. So we've actually truly transformed them into these omni retailers who do both brick and mortar and online as well. So my advice to you as an entrepreneur would be, first and foremost, love what you're building, because this is hard and it's a lot of long hours. There's uncertainty, there's ambiguity, it's awful. And if you don't really love it, you're going to have a bad time. You're not going to like it. So love it. And the second thing I would say to you is be bold. You're doing something pretty awesome. This is an adventure being a startup person. And there's people sitting at their desks right now in big corporations, like where I used to work, and they're wishing they could do this, but they don't have the courage. And you have the courage. You're doing it. So do bold things. Put the word fuck in your advertising. Go and do stuff that's going to change things. Because just building a nice, safe little business, you might as well go back and work at the big corporation because you make more money and have benefits. That's my Shopcaster story. Happy to take any questions.
Hello. Oh, I'm echoing. My question is, so I have this idea, and it probably won't be able to monetize, and it's part of the reason I want to do it. But how did you get your research? How do you get someone to be like, cool, I'm going to give you my time for free so you can analyze what I'm doing?
Yeah, early on in the process, it was people we kind of knew but didn't know super well. So just kind of people in our circle, we would bring them in for focus groups. And just to get some honest opinions. Now we do them on the site. So we just ask if there's a pop-up, somebody comes, we'll do it with buyers or with non-buyers. And sometimes we'll offer a $10 promo code. We just launched one today. We're serving our American retailers or customers because I find them fascinating because they're in those weird places. So we want to learn more about them. And so, yeah, we're offering them a $10 promo code to answer a survey. We are beginning an affiliate program for Shopcaster, white labeling it into, my background's media. We're going to be white labeling it into various media sites. Yes, we don't have one right now, but yes, what we see is that we have this group of products that nobody else has, and what we want to do is distribute them across the web as best we can. So yeah, as many places as we can put them, we'll put them.
How long did it take you to figure out your revenue model?
Well, it's still evolving, I will say that. Our first revenue model, we launched in November of 2011, and we got all those no thank yous in May and June. So that was a long period of wasted time of chasing the wrong model. Once we moved into e-commerce, the basic model was very simple. But we're continuing to evolve it. We're launching new programs all the time that are going to increase profitability. But I think like the baseline of what we're there.
Okay, sorry, another question. Can you give us an idea of your time management or how your typical day building up to where you are today, I guess, before you became, you had revenue? How would your day look? A typical day in the life of Judy Sims.
Before we had revenue.
Before revenue.
Okay, well, when we were working on the wrong business model, a lot of my day was spent building the wrong business model, talking to retailers. We never stopped talking to them. We were fundraising at that time, and that was my job, so that's pretty much 90% of what I was doing at any given time. A lot of research, a lot of conversations, a lot of brainstorming sessions with the whole team. The second time around, it was easier, it was clearer. The picture was much clearer. So then it was really writing the requirements that would fit these very strange needs that the retailers had, and there was a lot of focus on that. And then there was background. We had to find a box manufacturer on both sides of the border. We had to create an American version of our company. We had to hire somebody in the U.S. There was lots of that kind of stuff that was going on as well.
I have a question too. I'm going to go first. Any special advice to women entrepreneurs? Something you can share with us?
Yeah, I'm kind of funny in this regard because I don't think there's a difference. If anything, I think I have an advantage because I think some VCs would like to have a woman entrepreneur in their bailiwick, so I think it actually is helping at this point. But yeah, I honestly don't see the difference for a woman entrepreneur versus a man entrepreneur. We don't feel it at Shopcaster anyway. Okay.
Hi, yes, I wanted to know if what kept you pushing when you get all those rejections that you were trying to monetize it. And I think the question would be more in terms of you knew there was a way to monetize it and you just didn't know how, or was it I just got to keep on pushing forward?
We were really lucky because we had already a good relationship with those retailers. So when we went in and it was literally like a totally blank face followed by no thank you, followed immediately by, but if you can figure out a way to do e-commerce, I'm there with you. So there was no great long period. It was basically, we visited probably 15 retailers in 3 days and every one of them said the same thing. So we pretty much knew where we were going at that point. But it was because they were already emotionally invested in us that we got that information out of them so easily.
You said you were handling about 500 retailers before you actually started charging money. Is that right?
Say again?
You were handling about 500 retailers before, 500 retailers a month before you actually started charging money for this?
We had 500 in total.
Okay, yeah. So, seeing as it's not just like a website where people come to it, but you actually have to go and visit them, and it's really kind of a relationship thing that you're building, do you have any specific tips on how to avoid burning out in that type of scenario? Because, it's just like you're physically doing all these different things. And you love it, but other than that, anything else?
Yeah. What happened was after the first 150 came along, we started seeing retailers just turning up without us. We didn't have to even go talk to them. They just started appearing on the site to the point where almost 50% of our signups were what we call organics. It's a retailer we've never met. They just turn up. When we flipped to e-commerce, that changed, but now we're seeing that pattern come back again in Canada, at least, where all of a sudden 20% of our retailers are just turning up. So it's you want to do that. You can't scale by having to talk to every one of the retailers individually. And we did an experiment in April this month where we tried to onboard American retailers without ever going even to the city where they are. And 95% of our signups this month were done through email or telemarketing.
So Your background is in media. What does launch mean? What exactly did you do when you launched your company? Like, what was that?
So when we officially launched as an e-commerce company, you mean?
Yes.
So when we were a terrible e-commerce company up until October 1st. So it was like once we got good at doing e-commerce, then we're launched. We didn't have a shopping cart, for example, so we just had a bunch of buy now buttons on products, and if you clicked on one, we'd just ask for your credit card right away. It was not a good experience. It was not very smart. But that was part of our lean experience of building out e-commerce. So we say we launched the day we launched our shopping cart and actually looked like a real e-commerce site.
Did you exploit all of your media contacts?
They are hard to exploit, I will tell you. To them, the launch of an e-commerce company is not so interesting. It doesn't dig. They don't dig it. And I'm from the Toronto Star. I mean, it's a staid, boring kind of organization. Our best press has come from blogs.
Perfect. Any other questions?
I may have missed something, but you said you had already an emotional investment with your X number of retailers. Where did that come from? You had an emotional investment with your retailers?
Yeah.
How was that?
So
I may have missed it, I'm sorry.
The first 500 retailers, about half of them were onboarded by somebody personally from Shopcaster, going in and talking to them, having a conversation, literally walking in the store.
So there was no other business before. This all came together by your effort.
Any other questions? Thank you so much, Judy
you.
Sims. Go buy her a beer. You can buy Judy a beer or Chris a beer. There's beer out there. You can buy it and then give it to them. They will like you. Thanks again.